Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I offer my humble obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. Before reciting Srimad Bhagvatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author of Srimad Bhagavatam. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in the classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the Personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, dear Vaishnavas, thank you so much for joining. We are reading Grantraj Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 7, Chapter 2, Hiranyakasipu, the King of Demons. So we are almost towards the end of this chapter. Just one more verse, the last verse of Chapter 2. That is text number 61. And then we will do the summary and take some reflections and lessons from this wonderful chapter. So let's read text 61. Yes, Nandini Mataji, would you like to read this one?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. If I can open it in a second, I can read it. Please, devotees, please accept my humble obeisance. I'm there. The last text is text number 61. Sri Narada Uvacha Iti Daityapater Vakyam Ditirakarnya Sasusnusha Putra Shokam Shanaktyaktva Tatve Chittam Dharayat. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Narada Muni continued, Diti, the mother of Hiranyakasipu and Hiranyaksha, heard the instructions of Hiranyakasipu along with her daughter-in-law, Rusabhanu, Hiranyaksha's wife. She then forgot her grief over her son's death, and thus engaged her mind and attention in understanding the real philosophy of life. Purport. By Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, when a purport dies, one certainly becomes very much interested in philosophy, but when the funeral ceremony is over, one again becomes attentive to materialism. Even Daityas, who are materialistic persons, sometimes think of philosophy when some relative meets death. The technical term for this attitude of the materialistic person is Shmashan Vairajna, or detachment in a cemetery or place of cremation. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, 4 classes of men receive an understanding of spiritual life in God. Artha, the distressed; Jigyasu, the inquisitive; Artharthi, one who desires material gains; and Jnani, one who is searching for knowledge. Especially when one is very much distressed by material conditions, one becomes interested in God. Therefore, Kunti Devi said in her prayers to Krishna that she preferred distress to a happy mood of life. In the material world, one who is happy forgets Krishna or God, but sometimes if one is actually pious but in distress, he remembers Krishna. Queen Kunti Devi therefore preferred distress because it is an opportunity for remembering Krishna. When Krishna was leaving Kunti Devi for his own country, Kunti Devi regretfully said that she was better off in distress because Krishna was always present. Whereas now that the Pandavas were situated in their kingdom, Krishna was going away. For a devotee, distress is an opportunity to remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead constantly. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 7th Canto, 2nd chapter of the Srimad Bhagvatam, entitled Hiranyakasipu, King of the Demons. So Prabhupada is wonderfully describing here how this is a story between story. So Narad Muni is continuing how Hiranyakashipu's mother and daughter, along with her daughter-in-law, so his wife Rusabhanu, and forgot her grief. And then Prabhupada describes what is called Shmashan Vairajna. So when someone near and dear dies, then people suddenly become really interested in Bhagavad Gita and spiritual knowledge, because again Bhagavad Gita says there are 4 kinds of people who come to Krishna, and one of them is distressed. And we see that in even the most famous Bollywood movies, they used to have this scene that the most important person goes to God because he can't find any answers on himself. And even I was younger, I used to be always inquisitive about this aspect and which temple they are going and how the deity looks, because they all believed in demigod. But Kunti Devi knows that the Supreme Personality and devotees like that know that the Supreme Personality is the only shelter. He's always shelter in happiness and distress. And there's a famous story of how a super soul and soul, they always walk together. In fact, somebody sees them like life is on the walk on the sand, and a soul is going through thick and thin. And when it is distress, they only saw one set of footsteps, and the other set of footsteps they were missing. And so he asked God, "What happened, God? How come you left me when I was going through distress?" And he said, "No, that is the time when I carried you." So, and Kunti Devi also prays for the same, is that when I am in distress, Krishna, I remember you. I remember you much more intensely than this happiness Pandavas got from not even 5 sui or needle villages Duryodhana was not wanted to give. And they got not only kingdom of Bhumandala, but overall Jambudvipa. We read that in Canto 5. So they got so much opulence, everything. And still Kunti Devi was saying, "Krishna, please do not go," because now that she has opulence, she's afraid that she will forget Krishna. And I hope that I can pray a little bit even closer to that just by remembering this incident. Otherwise, my life is no better than this demons who remember Krishna for a second and then they are back to their normal life. Back to you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Really very nice. In India, we must have seen a lot of people, either some people read Bhagavad Gita during the cremation time or the final rites time, and while they're taking the dead bodies, they always say Ram Nam Satya, and that's how I don't know if they're still happening, but I remember at least 10 years back or 20 that was happening. And in US it's more artificial. Like in India, it's everyone would know that there's a death in this family or there's a marriage in this family. That it is completely clear with the color of the tents they put outside. If it's white tents, they lament for a few days to help the family heal, which is a good idea, which helps us to remember God. But Ram Nam is always Satya. It's not that it's Satya at the time of death. Those challenges remain. This coronavirus is nothing new. It is a problem. We are not denying it's not a problem, but problems are always there. Diseases, there are multiple types of diseases, and one of them is corona. So one should not be just Corona Vairagya or Shmashan Vairagya, but rather take this as an opportunity to further advance our Krishna consciousness. Not just for that short time till that lamentation is going on or till that coronavirus is present, but for a devotee it's always. So, any other comments anyone has before? Okay. So, I believe everyone got a chance to read or skim through the chapter again. If not, you can read today or tomorrow. So we'll briefly discuss the overview of this chapter, the summary of chapter 2, Canto 7, Srimad Bhagvatam, Hiranyakasipu, the king of demons. So if we go back to the end of chapter 1, it ended at a note where Yudhishthira Maharaj was asking Narad Muni, what was this issue between the father and the son? In chapter 1, Narad Muni tells the 3 lives of Jai and Vijay, and they were cursed. And he already told about Lord Ram. You hear from Markandeya Muni, Hiranyak's story he has already told, and Krishna's pastimes will come later. So Narad Muni begins to share this pastime about Hiranyakashipu. And right now, even Prahlad Maharaj's name has not yet come. It will come in future chapters. But Narad Muni is telling the story in detail, so that's a sign of a great teacher. And the sign of a great student is to hear, to be inquisitive. So, and then the chapter 2 opens where Hiranyaksha is dead by, Varadev. And Hiranyakashipu is very, very angry. It's like smoking hot. His description is very, very vivid in the first few verses. Full of anger, his eyes, his hair, his body, very, very graphic description that he cannot bear. How did Lord Vishnu or Varadev kill my brother, Hiranyaksha? And then he gathers all his associates, the demon party, and calls everyone and gives them a speech of encouragement to destroy. Yet Vishnu has taken side of the demigods, and although he is equipoised, but he does take side sometimes. So let's destroy him. He is like a child who, sometimes you give a child some cookie or some candy, and the child will do what you want to do. So these demigods are doing like that. Prabhupada is writing that in the purport of the text 7, that the demigods, Hiranyakashipu is thinking that demigods have induced Krishna on their side by giving him a laddu, like children are induced by giving some candy or laddu. And then Prabhupada quotes the Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam verse, that if someone offers, even Hiranyakashipu knows this. So yes, he is equipoised, he is impartial, but yes, he is Bhakta Vatsal also. So if someone approaches him with love and devotion, with laddus, with leaf, fruit, flower, water, etc., he does favor them. That is absolutely true, because he is Bhakta Vatsal, he is bound by his devotees. Then finally, after giving the speech, he orders them from text 10 onwards that go and destroy the Brahmanical culture, destroy the villages, destroy the Brahmanas, wherever the Vedic worship is happening, the Varnashrama system. So Hiranyakashipu knew very well, if all these things are destroyed, then it will cause havoc. And that is the foundation of a good culture, the good education, the Brahmanical culture. The Brahmanas are like the head, they give the direction, the devotees, Vaishnavas. Without direction, a society will not get to its right goal. Can we get to the right goal without a GPS? Certainly not. Without higher guidance, we cannot get to even from point A to B. What to speak of getting to the goal back home, back to Godhead. So Hiranyakashipu gives this order, and then there's a very nice verse, text 13, that the demons took their order upon their head, Shirasa. It's a good quality and a good lesson that how a disciple must take the order of the Guru upon his head. And then they circumambulate, they offer their obeisance, and then they continue to execute the order. Then they cause great havoc. They start setting the villages on fire, destroying the buildings and uprooting the trees, the sacred jackfruit, mango, etc. They start destroying everything and killing people, destroying cows, etc., and caused a big havoc. Then Hiranyakashipu comes back to scene. While this havoc was going on, he did the final rites of his brother Hiranyaksha, and from text 17 he comes back to scene to pacify his relatives, namely the mother Diti, the wife of Hiranyaksha, and the children of Hiranyaksha, etc. They were grief-stricken. And a good quality mentioned in Hiranyakashipu is Desha Kalagya. That means he was very expert in speaking and according to time, place, circumstances. That's a good quality, but it can be used for wrong cause. He used it, to, like we discuss the example of Hitler. He was already also expert. A lot of people are expert in motivating others or getting, like Hitler was expert in inspiring people for wrong thing. So this ability of speech is very, very powerful. But if one uses it for wrong purpose, it is like croaking of a frog, which will just bring the snake of death close to us. So one must use it for the right purpose, for Krishna consciousness. Then Hiranyakashipu says, don't lament for this body. He had very expert knowledge about body and soul. Body is temporary, soul is eternal. Travelers come in a restaurant, they meet for some time, they greet for some time, and they exchange some words, and then that's it. We meet people in flight. Two straws come together in a whirlpool, and never to meet again. Two sand particles come together, never to meet again. So don't be so attached to the temporary. Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says this same thing to Arjuna. Yamaraj will speak the same thing to the wives of Suyagya. So the philosophy he spoke was absolutely correct. Very, very intelligent demon. That body and soul knowledge he gives to great detail. And then there's a very nice translation, text number 26, that concocted material ideas is the cause of suffering and so-called happiness in this material world. Concocted material ideas, also known as manodharma. In the last chapter, Canto, we read that. Manodharma. This is concocted. Our mind has concocted. This thing will give me happiness. This is my enemy. This is my friend. This is bad. This is good. Without referring to the higher authorities. So this is all a concoction. Then, seeing that they still were, not very in a state, they were still lamenting, Hiranyakashipu, who is very intelligent, tells them a story. So we discussed the importance of storytelling. Good teachers, good parents, good guru, everyone, they are good storytellers. Amulila Prabhu was sharing that. And story tells or makes a point forward in a very easy way, that the person doesn't feel that, oh, you're addressing me. And Narad Muni did the same thing to Prachini Bhari. He said, okay, I'll tell you a story. And then later, person realized, actually the story is about me. The character in the story is me. So then Hiranyakashipu tells him the story, not a fairy tale story, itihasa. It's history from our history, not some mythology or something. He tells that there was a great king of a province named Ushinara. His name was Suyagya. And Suyagya was a very great king, but once upon a time, he was dead in the war. And, there's graphic description about his body, how it was covered with dust. He was a great hero. Then the dead body was brought and all the queens started to cry over the body. And they wanted to themselves, they wanted to die with the king. They didn't allow the body to be taken for the cremation or the last rites. So that is over lamentation, over sorrow, ignorance, etc. And that point, because of the overwhelming wailing of the queens of Ushinara or queens of Suyagya, Yamaraj comes himself. But Yamaraj disguises himself as a child. Because if children speak something, then it is much more profound. Like a 7-year-old speaking erudite philosophy about body and soul, who would not be inspired? Who is that child? How come he has such great knowledge? they'll be inspired. And we have seen that. If a child speaks something, very transcendental, it is, people take it. So Yamaraj knew that, and he came. So Yamaraj starts to speak. Now the child is speaking. Yamaraj is disguised. So we are going story within a story within a story. It goes up to 5 layers. Right now we are on the 4th layer of the story. Yamaraj and the queens of Suyagya. That you all are more experienced. I'm just a 7-year-old, 10-year-old boy. You are all more experienced. You have seen life more than me. Have you not seen other people dying, your relatives, etc.? Your grandfathers or great-grandfathers? You must have seen someone. Well, you are the queens. I'm just a parentless boy in the jungle. But God is protecting me. You are queens, you have wealth, you have other co-queens with you. What problem you got? But I'm a fatherless child, I'm a motherless child. But the Supreme Lord is protecting. And I like that point very much. On page number 92, it is mentioned in the translation of text number 38. I will read that as it is. We have a firm belief that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has given us protection even in the womb of the mother, will protect us everywhere. That's Yamaraj speaking. That the Supreme Lord is the one who gives real protection, not the so-called money, so-called doctors, etc. They will, and that will come actually later. And there's a very nice verse actually I want to share. That the Supreme Lord always gives protection. Mata Draupadi speaks. It's not in the Bhagavatam, but it's in the Mahabharata. Pratigya tava govinda name bhakta pranashyati iti samsmritya pranam sandharyami aham. O Govinda, your promise is that your devotee will never perish. By remembering this over and over again, I am able to retain my life heirs. Pratigya. This is your solemn vow. O Govinda, that Name Bhakta Pranashyati, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, my devotee will never perish. So Mata Draupadi is remembering this. Samsmritya. Remembering this vow again and again will lead to stronger belief that Krishna does not lie. And therefore, even if Krishna lies, Krishna is asking, oh Arjuna, you declare it. Kaunteya pratijanehi name bhakta pranashyati. Therefore, in that verse, why Kunti or why Arjuna is declaring it? Because Krishna, even if he breaks his vow, he will not let the vows of his devotee be being broken. So, remembering this, Draupadi Maharani is retaining Pranam Sandharyami Aham. I like this verse very much. Very, very deep, very, very sweet, and remembers of Krishna's promise. Mata Draupadi is remembering this promise. Yamaraj is speaking this, that Krishna will protect. Why are you afraid? Why are you lamenting? So please don't lament. And no one should question his activities, Prabhupada, and we were discussing this yesterday. Because we see from our relative perspective. I'm going back to Vamsivilas Prabhu's question. I was meditating upon that yesterday. It may seem that something bad happened to the devotee who died from coronavirus, or to the Brahmanas who were killed by Hiranyakasipu's demons. But we are seeing from this tiny perspective in this relatively small planet called Earth. Krishna's creation is infinite. Material creation is infinite. What to speak of spiritual creation, which is 3/4 of infinite, which is also infinite. So, a very mundane example is, let's say, if your child gets a scholarship after 12th grade in MIT, full tuition funding, full residential, whatever stipend and all, everything, the best what could happen. Well, as a parent, do you feel happy or sad? I'll take that answer as yes, you would feel happy. Majority of the population, 99.99% people will say, wow, that's great. Now, the child, that means that has to go and leave. Let's say in the Florida, the child has to go and be thousands of miles away. But the parent still feels happy. This is a very mundane example, not exactly the same situation. But the parents of the child feel happy. Although, yes, there is a pain also that they would not be able to, personally be with the child all the time, but they're happy that the child is getting something higher, good education. This is a very material example, not a very spiritual, but so in the same way, we may think from our relative perspective, in this tiny earth planet, why did devotee pass away? Due to corona or due to heart attack or due to whatever problem. But from Krishna's plan, his creation is infinite. He has given that devotee a much higher service, a much better designation, a much better service. So as spiritual beings, if we trust Krishna's plan, then there should be no sorrow. To those brahmanas who were probably killed by the demons, we are thinking only about this planet where this Leela is practically happening, but Krishna's creation is infinite. So we cannot comprehend his creation, and neither we should question. Prabhupada is mentioning that in text number 39 purport, that no one should question Krishna's plan, because it will not lead us anywhere. The best thing is we simply accept his plan and dovetail our will to his will. Karishyasi vachanam tvai. That is a very good idea, because his plans are much more, better than what we can even. So we have to tune ourselves. Then Yamaraj speaks. Well, there are sometimes, a person loses money, like Sudhir Prabhu gave example. He lost his ring in the sand, and 1 week later he found it. That same text number 40 says that. Sometimes a person will have good doctors, good money, good, everything good, but he'll still die. And on the contrary, a person may not even go to the doctor, may not even have money to afford it, may not even have good health, but still he will live. So who's the controller? The controller is the Supreme Lord. We are not the controller. A person could be protected in the jungle, whereas some person, where in the safe room of his home or may die. So Yamaraj again gives the philosophy of the body and the soul, that soul has nothing to do with the material creation, like fire has nothing to do with, it's outside, it's separate. So the soul is driving the body, and when the soul is gone, the body is just present. Text 44 says that the body of the so-called husband, you used to say, Suyagya, is still there. Why are you all crying? He can't reply to you because the essence is gone. The car without a driver cannot move. Similarly, the body without the soul is like dead matter. So, but not just the soul. Text 45 says there is a higher power, and that is the super soul. He is the real cause of all causes, sarva karana karanam. And we have a choice. Either we act demoniac and go to bad species of life, go to hellish planets, so that choice is there. The choice is always there. So, either we want to be in illusion, illusory happiness and distress, or we take to the higher, by hearing. Prabhupada mentions in text 48, hear, shrotavya, shravanam kirtanam, very, very important process. Bhakti begins with shravanam. By hearing, one can become self-realized. And that's what actually happened here. The queens of Suyagya heard from the great Mahajan, Yamaraj. And what was the outcome? The outcome was freedom from lamentation. But before they got the freedom from lamentation, Yamaraj also shared a story from text number 50. And now the story goes into the 5th layer. So what are those different layers? First layer is Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit from chapter 1. Then Narad Muni and Yudhishthir Maharaj. Then Hiranyakasipu talking to his relatives. Then he brings Yamaraj and story of Suyagya. Now Yamaraj is telling one more story, the hunter and the Kulinga birds. That there once upon a time there was a hunter who had led a spread for these Kulinga birds. And the female bird gets captured and she was dead. As a result, male bird, alas, my Ardha Atma, my half body is dead. So much lamentation, so much grief. Who will protect the children? Who will feed them? I'm lost. Everything is lost. That's finally what happened. Over lamentation, the hunter kills the male bird also. So over lamentation is not good. Rather, being overwhelmed by the situation, rather than too much grief, one should introspect about because death will come for sure, 100% statistics. But what can I do now between today and the point death will come? That is what an intelligent person must seek, rather than being too much lamentation, going in too much depression. Life is good for nothing, better I go in depression, better I kill myself. That's what he was saying. Why don't you kill me also? The wives of Suyagya earlier was saying, we also want to die. So that's basically not a very good idea. We are not denying anyone's emotions, but it should not continue for days, weeks, or months. Sometimes it happens. People keep lamenting for months and years. Not a very good idea, because time is precious. We are wasting the time, and the time of death killed the male bird also. So better we take to self-realization by hearing. And then finally, Hiranyakasipu speaks that how their lamentation was gone, and they did allow the body to be taken for the final rites. Text number 35, we learned that they were not allowing the body to be taken, but later they did allow. And then finally, Hiranyakasipu wraps up the story of Yamaraj. Yamarajji disappears, and finally we come to the end of this chapter. That Narad Muni concludes that the relatives understood the philosophy of life through various examples, through different stories, so knowledge can overcome lamentation. Spiritual knowledge helps to overcome the lower. Higher helps to overcome the lower. So hearing, very, very important. So let's not be just Shmashan Vairagi or Corona Vairagi, or lament or be grief-stricken or introspective for just when problems come, but throughout the life. But so easy is to say that, and so difficult is to follow. Therefore, Krishna sends problems, so that we again are reminded, we again get a wake-up call. Like I was, going through some of my pictures, and I realized, 6 years back, I got into a very terrible accident. Basically, I felt I got a new life. I could have, been into very worse situations, but it was so hard for me even to recollect that. But 6 years back, it was like, Krishna, thank you so much, Krishna. I'm so grateful, Krishna. This I will take seriously. Everything I have been, wasting a lot of time. I'll take it very. But now I forgot that. So Krishna will send reminders. So that's actually not his bad plan, but it is his reminder to help us to understand the real importance of life, so that we don't forget him. So this is chapter 2 in brief. Anyone has any comments, or let's take some reflections, and towards the end we can take questions if any. So please feel free to share 1 or 2 reflection if you have any lessons, anything inspired you. Let's discuss that. Yes, Prabir Prabhu, please start.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavata Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much, Mr. Nicely summarizing. This chapter is very practical for us during this time. There are so many losses, and this chapter is depicting all these things, realistic scenarios. I was thinking one thing Prabhupada was mentioning in text 43, and the purport Prabhupada was saying that according to our reaction, karma, we looks like we are being separated from the Lord. But actually Prabhupada is saying that we are not separated from the Lord. Lord is always with us. He alerts us different times. And Prabhupada is saying that Prabhupada is giving us the assurance. And that's what benefit of associating with the devotees because they know Krishna's real intention, real desire. Because as for myself, I can say like Shmashan Vairajna. When something happens, then it becomes serious and not serious all the time. But associating with the devotees, association with the Bhagavatam helps us to remind us to, and Prabhupada is saying that under all circumstances, we should just simply depend on supremacy of the Supreme Lord. And as you mentioned in previous one text, that we should not even question about Krishna's judgment, because our senses are imperfect, we are imperfect, our thinking is imperfect. So we should just simply depend, just simply accept that Krishna's mercy. Back to you, Prabhu. He said.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Really very nice. Bhadra Prabhu, do you want to share any comments? Okay.
You are fired up this morning. Thank you for giving the good whole overview. No, I'm bracing my deities right now, so let me just listen, then I will come up something. Okay.
Please correct if I said anything inappropriate or much.
No. You're doing right thing, but you are really fired up this morning. Thank you. I will say something. Let me hear others. Thank you.
Sivilas Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam everyone. This chapter really shows us that we need the full understanding of the Lord. We see here that Hiranyakasipu understands the whole philosophy of the soul, but he is missing a very important point, that the soul's relationship with Krishna or Vishnu. So before he's saying all this philosophy, we know that Yamaraj is, as a child is saying, but when Hiranyakasipu is saying that story, that means he's fully aligned to what Yamaraj is saying, and whatever Yamaraj said is 100% correct. And that means Hiranyakasipu also knows that the soul is eternal and is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and the Lord is always with the soul. The Lord's will cannot be questioned. All this he knows. But the one problem is he doesn't know that who is the Supreme Lord. And so just before all this discussion, he says he wants to kill Lord Vishnu. And the way he thinks he can do that is by hurting the Brahmins. And he thinks Lord Vishnu gets the power from the Brahmins and the culture of worship of the Brahmins and the Varnashram system. All this powers the Lord, but actually the Lord powers all of this. The Lord is the root. That is the biggest mistake Hiranyakasipu didn't understand, that we are not the root of Lord, but the Lord is our root. So he thinks that by destroying all the good aspects, the Lord will be affected. But we know that's not the case. Lord is Atmaram. He cannot be affected by any material activity. So this chapter really inspires me to understand the philosophy fully. If partial understanding is more harmful than full understanding. Thank you, Prabhuji. Please, if you'd like to add or correct.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Anyone else would like to share some reflections?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, this is Raghunandan Das. I have 2 points to share. One is the
point about random people coming together and meeting in a restaurant or a public place and then separating out, or the straws in the water coming together. So the living beings in the material world are brought together for a short period of time, and they are separated by the action of time. So in that short period of time when we are together, we love each other, we develop attachments for each other, or we hate each other, and then we also develop a strong attachment, a negative attachment because of that hate, and that forces the living being to take repeated birth and death in the material world. And while we are together, we are afraid to be develop attachment, or we try to stay neutral, or we are attached. But at the same time, attachment is not the same as caring and affection. So we mix those two things together and then it becomes a problem. But if we learn to see attachment as distinct from caring and being affectionate, then we still can extend care and affection to everybody that we interact with without getting attached, because we know properly to whom everybody belongs to, that is the Supreme Lord Krishna. So with that God-centered conception, it becomes easier to not get attached on a material platform, but spiritualize that relationship and take it to a next higher level. So that was one thing that came up for me when I was thinking about it and hearing your nice summary. And the second point is, we see Hiranyakasipu using spiritual knowledge to overcome lamentation, and he was also sharing that knowledge with his relatives and friends to help them overcome their lamentation and sorrow. So, it's a classic example of a conditioned soul using even spiritual knowledge for one's own benefit. What can I get out of this? So spiritual knowledge is meant for understanding God and cultivating that loving relationship with God. But as a typical conditioned soul, Hiranyakasipu was not looking at the spiritual knowledge from that perspective. He was looking at what this spiritual knowledge can do to me, what benefit I can get out of this. So that was very striking to me, because if I approach even Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam and just using it for my own, I am going through some tough situation, it is helping me to heal and overcome it. I am facing something else and it is helping me overcome that lamentation, sorrow and so on. There is no God in that picture. This spiritual knowledge is meant for understanding who I am and who God is, what is this creation about, what is my relationship with this creation, what is my relationship with the Creator. That conception was totally missing in his explanation. He was speaking spiritual knowledge, but he was speaking it only from the point of view of how can I benefit from it, how can I exploit it and manipulate it for my benefit. So those 2 points really stood out for me in this chapter. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Really wonderful. Anyone else would like to share any comments, realizations, reflections?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Dandavat. Other than many wonderful things he has said, one small point struck me was, Prabhupada says that word itihasa or Purana means history. He says Mayavadis don't believe that. They call it mythology, but we Vaishnavas always believe in that. And even during the Kulinga bird examples, Prabhupada says that this is another incident from the histories. There's just one line purport. It just shows such a full faith in Srimad Bhagvatam that yes, birds can speak and everything has actually happened. So Srimad Bhagavatam is not making up that birds can speak with humans, or person can become from man to woman, or whatever. There are so many things that happen that are out of our complete imagination zone. We cannot even dream in our dreams, wildest dreams. And Prabhupada is very firm faith in just one sentence of his purport is saying that this is another incident from the histories, and if we are Mayavadi, we won't believe in histories or Puranas or Itihasas. We will call it mythology. And the other small thing was he describes Aryan as a civilization. This Aryan term is used many times in our own history books when we were little, but this is a correct definition, is that one who is not on the bodily conception of life is an Aryan. Back to you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Wonderfully summarized by everybody too. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Wonderful points. Anyone else would like to share?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandar Pranam always to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhuji, wonderful explanation by you and all the devotees. Dandar Pranams to everyone. Prabhuji, so I think, I mean, of course, all the points are very good, but the point here is, so in those ages, even the demons were, very learned persons. They knew, what is the, soul, and, why not lament. Of course, the demons has to take their position as, externally appearing that they are unfavorable to the Lord, but they are actually, part and parcel of the Leela and helping the Lord in their mission. And we can see that even the birds, animals are also very learned, and they were able to. We can see that in many occasions, even when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there, all the animals were dancing and doing kirtan. So if we can realize that in this age of Kali, we can see that everyone, even the learned persons, it is very difficult for us to digest that this is not a body, and also waste the resources of Mother Earth. So in this way, if we can try to learn some lessons and also follow Srila Prabhupada's guidelines, and try to lead a simple life with Mother Nature, I think we can all go back to God, and at least have better if we can think that this is just the body and we have come together, traveling together for a few moments, as you said, like the sand particles come together, and not lament, and but of course take care of the family. I think that would be wonderful. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Anyone else would like to share any comments?
Hare Krishna. This is Bhadra. Dandvat, everybody. We see again and again Hriday Granthi, hard knots, how the hard knots is bound in our heart for the family members, and particularly hard knots between husband and wife. This is what is showing here. We saw again in the last many other cantos also, we saw how the Hriday Granthi between the husband and wife is so strong, besides other family members, but that is very strong. And that's where we will have to, we'll have to learn, we'll have to realize that Hriday Granthi we'll have to untie it, Hriday Granthi, sooner or later. And that will happen only by the Krishna consciousness. There is no other solution. Because that will help, Krishna consciousness help us to realize that other part is also the energy of the Lord. She is also part and parcel of the Lord. I am also part and parcel of the Lord. And this is what ultimately Yamraj is trying to, Yamraj coming here as a boy, is trying to tell them that, why lamenting for it? So this is most important, and we'll have to learn this lesson. So Srimad Bhagvatam is keep repeating again and again and again the same thing, same points. I'm not this body. I'm not this body. But that speaking is easy for me, I can say. But to actually realize that, practically apply in my life, in everyday life, is difficult, and that's where Krishna conscious process comes. By hearing, by chanting, it helps us to come to that realization, actual realization, not just talking, within really heart, in the heart, deep within the heart, to come to that understanding. See? So this is what is important. And this is the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. But the basic principle we hear all the time, but it's to realize it means it's really applied practically in the life with everybody, not just with my wife or family members, but other people also in general, to do that. And that's where the Vaishnavas are considered to be the personalities, and that's where we can see from the example of Srila Prabhupada. See? So this is what is, and as I mentioned last night, Hiranyakasipu, I mean, he's a demon, But how Krishna arranged through him to bring Yamaraj as a small boy to tell this, so that it has more substance. If Bhadra says something, then people will say, wait a minute, who is this guy? Let's face reality. But if some Radhanath Maharaj or some other person comes and say the same thing, then it has more substance in it. You see? So that's what here it is. That Hiranyakasipu, he's talking the philosophy. But as we will hear, what he's going to do next time? He's going to kill his even son. But then Yamaraj, who is a Mahajan, when he's coming, he's telling, then there is a substance, then people want to, because it is coming out from the lotus mouth of the, Mahajan. Lotus mouth of Srila Prabhupada, when it comes out, it's like, oh, you see. So that's what I'm seeing here. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Very nice points. Anyone else would like to share?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Renuka.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Namaskaram, everybody. So my realization about this chapter is like, even though we are like materially attached to our family, friends, and relatives, so nothing is permanent in this world. Everybody has to leave their this material world, and they have to go back. So the only realization is like realizing the God and what is our relationship with the God. So in the next of devotion also they are saying like, even though we have so much knowledge about so many things, like, but getting the knowledge of the God and realizing the God and doing the spiritual devotional service is the only thing to realize the God. So that's what my relation is, using everything in Krishna's service, and by seeing everything we have to remember Krishna, by seeing the trees, by doing service to our kids and worshipping deities. So in every way we have to see that we are just and part and parcel of God, and we got this chance in this human form because of our previous karma, or like by doing any pious activity. So we have to utilize this time and every effort in the realization of God, so we don't waste time, and we can think about God in every aspect by with the mercy of Guru and Gauranga by Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Very nice, Mataji. You spoke the essence. That is the only Satyam, only real or eternal thing. And I was hearing a very nice point from a senior Vaishnava, that devotees, even in the material things, they remember Krishna or try to remember Krishna. But non-devotees, even if they see something Krishna conscious, they will remember their own material stuff. Like the famous story that a person, a devotee was giving a lecture, he had a beard. And by seeing that beard, the audience, one of the members of the audience was so absorbed in looking at the beard, and everyone left, and then this person who was looking at the beard, this devotee asked, "You look very absorbed. Tell me, what did you hear in the class?" He said, did you give a class?" No. I was not paying much attention. Actually, my goat died a couple of days back, and your beard reminded me of that goat. My goat. So much attachment to material things and things in connection to matter or temporary, that even in a spiritual setting, remembering of matter. But devotees must try to do the opposite. Even in material settings, like we try to remember Krishna or Krishna's pastimes. So, very nice. Anyone else? Any other comments? Realization?
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So I have one realization here. So like the demon Hiranyakasipu can be compared with the false gurus. So nowadays, like, so they keep on telling about like the life is not eternal, so we have to leave the body. But after saying all these things, so they are keep on enjoying. So they are advising others, but in the meantime, so they are accumulating many wealth and they are enjoying their lives. So the false gurus in nowadays, they can be compared with the Hiranyakasipu. So we have to be very careful. So while choosing the gurus.
That's a very good point. They may talk very nice, but if we are not careful, then yes, you made a very nice point. And that's what I think Raghunandan Prabhu also said, that having knowledge is no good use when one has like selfish agendas, like Hiranyakashipu or false gurus. The selfish agenda to get fame, money, opposite sex, wealth, etc. So it will not lead to any transformation of the heart. It will just lead to some information or false pride. Oh, I know a lot, or I can speak good philosophy, or someone may get cheated by such false gurus. Nice point. Anyone else? Anyone else would like to share before we wind up today? Any comments, questions?
Prabhu, you said we'll take a question later. That's what I was waiting. Shall we?
Okay. Yes, Prabhu, please.
Because we don't have much time. So the question is like this, Prabhu. Maybe because of my lack of understanding of this knowledge, looks like that's what it's confusion. We say that we are not a body and we are the soul. We should not lament for the body, and again we say that soul is eternal. The question, I have two things. What is the status of the soul without body? If there is no body, what the soul does, where the soul lives, where the soul goes. We don't know where the soul goes, and we are not even questionable to Supreme Personality. And in that case, what is the surrendering process? The surrendering process is for my body, or surrendering process for the soul, basically. Because we know that after the death, the body is going to go away. We don't know where the soul, Krishna, will put it actually. So am I struggling all this in this life because of my soul? That Krishna, we pray the Krishna that, okay, put this soul in a very nice family next time, a very nice body. And because this life, because of my material desire, this soul is basically struggling here. So I surrender to you for this soul. So next time, next life, you take care of this soul properly and put it into very sophisticated family. Is this my surrendering process basically? Because body has nothing to do with this soul, and I cannot be lament for the body. I cannot be asking the question, Supreme Personality of the Godhead. Thank you very much, brother.
Very tricky question. So I think the mind, intelligence, and ego, the desires. So the gross body, that's the outer layer. Then the subtle body, one layer inner, the mind, intelligence, and ego. So those go. The material body does not go until we are in the material world. The material body, which is made up of 5 elements, will remain in this material world and go back to 5 elements, burned or put in the ground, whatever. But the subtle body goes in this journey until the soul is in the material world, and that is where the desires are also carried over. So if one has whatever desires, and this body is a medium to execute those desires. Like we discussed the example of software and hardware. Basically, the hardware is a medium to run the software. So if I have good desire, and that's what the whole topic is, having good desires lead to good destination, bad desires leads to bad destination. That's what Uti is. This Canto is talking about Uti. We want to have desires like Hiranyakasipu or Prahlad. Depending upon that, the destination would be picked up. So the soul and the subtle body, the desires carry to the next body. And depending upon the activities, which the body is a platform to do those activities and to remove the covering, like chanting. How do we chant? We are using the body, but actually we engage our spiritual senses. His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrita Swami Maharaj was giving this example that Shravanam is a bona fide limb of bhakti, but what about those who can't hear? Well, they can't hear from their ears, the material body, but their spiritual senses are hearing, which is leading to purification of chitta, cheto darpana marjanam, of bad desires are purified. The Hridaya Granthi is getting weakened, and if one continues, it will be ripped apart. All the bad desires, the false attachments, the manodharma, the cleansing process is happening. And that's how one gets to self-realization, that I am spirit soul and this body is external. Artificially just talking or will not lead. So is that in aligned with your question, or is it off topic?
No, I think it aligns, but then the bottom line is we do this devotional service, we surrender to the Lord because of this soul actually.
No, we are the soul. We are not because of the soul. We are.
I will add the point later on.
For the Lord, the next life should be the better life, something like that. Because remember, this has to be mutually exclusive. Without body, what is the status of the soul also? So this has to be mutually exclusively. Without body, I don't know. I'm not a knowledgeable person what the soul does. And then if you want the soul to have a very powerful and very nice body next life, and that's what then this surrendering process is basically. That's my understanding, Prabhu. I may be completely wrong because of the lack of knowledge.
Yes, Bhadra Prabhu, you wanted to speak something.
Yeah, thank you. I am the soul. Soul has a spiritual body, spiritual senses, everything is spiritual. But because I am the soul, and because I had a desire to enjoy separate from Krishna, Krishna is given this, okay, go in this material world and get the material body. So in the present situation, in this material body, I am the soul has acquired this material body. And that material, with the material bodies, there is also a subtle body. And the soul is 1/10 of the 1 or 10,000 piece of the top tip of the hair. But that soul had that strong desire. And because of those desires, its subtle body is carrying us from one body to another body. And we are acquiring this material bodies, life after life. In this planet, another universe goes on and on and on and on. And that's what is happening with us. You see. So the Krishna conscious process is helping us, is realizing us, making us realize that I'm a soul, I'm not this body. Body is an instrument I have acquired. And because the soul is thinking, I'm this body, false ego is thinking, I'm this body. And because of that, considering false ego, thinking that way all the time, which is I and mine, everything related to me is mine. And this is what we are going on one life to another life. So Krishna conscious process is helping us, is coming to realization, actual realization that I am a soul. And I have constitutional relationship with the Lord. I have some relationship. And that relationship naturally will, as we grow in the sadhana bhakti, raganuga bhakti, vaidhi bhakti, we will come to that. Individual soul has a relationship with the Lord, and they will come to that realization of their original realization. See? So it's not that by process, by surrendering, I'm praying to the Lord to give me better body. No. But I want to get out from here. Or if Krishna wants me to come here again, it's fine. That's Krishna's arrangement. I will come again. But then I will also come to preach. To share. That's what will happen probably. Or if I will have some desire, then we will get another body. But whatever we are doing this right now in Krishna consciousness will carry us further up, and it will go further up and up. So that's what it is. It's a soul. I'm a soul. I'm not this body. I'm not this body. And that's what we'll have to. That's come realization will come, and it comes by chanting, by hearing, by associating, and gradually we will come to that problem. We will come to that understanding. That's what I have learned so far in my life and in Krishna consciousness.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, any other last quick comment or any closing comment?
So, Hare Krishna, I just want to share what we learned from Srila Prabhupada. First of all, we need to see what's the soul characteristic, or souls, what is made of. Like, we know that water is made of H2O, hydrogen and oxygen. Soul is also Satchidananda. But that soul is very minute. Sat means which is not destroyed. Chit means full of knowledge. And Ananda is full of bliss. So that is the characteristic of the soul. And what Prabhuji is saying, that when soul goes in its actual constitutional position, that is the body of, that is Krishna. Krishna is Satchidananda. He is never destroyed, he is full of knowledge and full of bliss. Our soul is also, but it is so minute when it comes in contact with this, and that contact is, as Bhadraprabhu was mentioning, because we wanted to. We envy. That is the one single word. We envy. We want to enjoy separately. And that's why that soul, Satchidananda, that came, but that came in contact with the material. Because here we are so minute, our material things are. And the example is our material senses. Like we need ear for hearing. We need eye for seeing. But when Satchidananda, Krishna doesn't need all these things. Krishna, just by eye, he can eat, he can hear, he can touch, he can get all these senses. So that is the difference in the material body and the spiritual body. Spiritual body, when we go to spiritual world, our body is Satchidananda, and we are going to be the same. But our enjoyment is, Krishna's enjoyment is our enjoyment. We don't separate. But because we thought separately. That's why our position right now. And we are, senses are, everything is different. So just to add.
Thank you, Prabhu, for adding. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So we will stop here for today and continue tomorrow morning with the next chapter, chapter 3. Grantraj Srimad Bhagvatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyascha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.